Anthony, I've held it in, and I've tried to make, and you guys can call me out on it. I've tried to make excuses for them. I mean, now they're 2 games under 500. They look listless. They've had the vaunted players-only meeting that went nowhere. I think Stephen Vogt missed a golden opportunity, and I wish I would have been harder on him on Friday morning, the way that Owen was, because I think that he had a hell of a point with being as angry as he was over that, or on Thursday morning, I should say. I don't think this team is going anywhere now, and I think I've missed the opportunity to be ahead of it. But at the same time, I go, well, you look over the last 20 years. I've heard the same gripes, and they've been able to turn it around and get going. So I think I gave them a little bit more time than I think a lot of people think they deserve, but I think they deserved a little bit more time.
Well, I did think and I guess I'm wrong. I mean, I'm officially wrong on this. I did give them the benefit of the doubt because I think they were the one team in town that had definitely earned it based on just their success over the years and their playoff berths and, the amount of times that they've just had this entire city going nuts, come playoff time. And unfortunately, this following last year, I think that's part of it too. In a way, they're the victim of their own success. Following last year's ALCS run to come back and, look, people were irate about the payroll situation coming in. I gave them the benefit of the doubt. I was wrong. So yeah, I mean, we're late to the party. There have been a lot of people in our mentions, a lot of callers that have been on this for a long time. And I just said, I think it's kind of ridiculous to go after them as if there's some joke of a franchise. Like, we in Cleveland know what a joke looks like more than most cities. Like, we understand on the football side of things how bad that's been forever. And up until recently, the Cavs without LeBron, had been that. Now things have kind of changed there and tilted, but the Guardians, I was always going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but I think that has come to a crashing halt with this team right now.
I want to get more of that coming up with Daryl at 8:22. Also, Matt Derry got very passionate on his podcast about it. I just got to come out and say it. He's calling for Paul Dolan to give up the franchise reins, and it's time to move on. I mean, he got that upset last night on his podcast. So we'll talk about that with Matt at 9:22. So what's the diabolical question? I've been waiting since yesterday, and I want to know.
Well, I thought about it just based on the outpouring of anguish and criticism that I'm seeing with the Guardians. And so I'm like, what better? Now, you might call it diabolical. You might call it summer hack. But I did have one question that I thought would get to the meat of this. What's the most embarrassing situation in Cleveland sports? The Guardians' payroll slashing it after the ALCS, that the Cavs couldn't get past the second round after having one of the most dominant regular seasons in Cleveland sports history, or that the Browns have spent more money than any team in the NFL since 2021, have one playoff win to show for their big playoff window. What's the most embarrassing of those three? I know my answer.
Judas Priest.
Can you give me those in a more abridged version?
Yeah. Guardians payroll.
Okay.
Cavs bowing out second round.
Yep.
Browns disaster.
Expensive disaster.
Yeah, expensive disaster. They spent more money than any team in the NFL since 2021. And they won 3 games last year.
Guardians payroll, you're saying? Okay.
What
was your answer?
What is the...
I didn't give it you're going to make me have to answer.
I didn't give it yet. I can answer it first.
Oh, you want to?
Yeah.
All right, what is it?
It's the Browns. I think it's definitely the Browns. I mean, the way that we celebrate, like...
But
celebrate.
What do you celebrate?
Every training camp every year. It's this celebration of how scary the Browns offense is going to be.
Damn minute. Isn't that
every year?
No, you got to look at this through the right color, man. You know some of that is tongue in cheek.
Best roster cynical in the NFL.
Nobody's saying that this year.
I heard it 4 straight years. This is the best roster in the NFL.
Then this isn't that year because we're not calling it that this year now, are we? So you heard it for 4 straight years, and things are changing. Not for the better, but things are changing. So you didn't hear that then. And Super Bowl Super Browns was born out of cynicism, buddy boy. That wasn't literal, as much as guys like to think it is and get crazy with us.
Right,
that was born out of cynicism.
What's your answer then?
I don't know, man. Getting called a bunch of soft children and being bounced out in the second round of the postseason, and having everybody question your toughness and call you soft as grown men, that's pretty embarrassing. That's pretty embarrassing. Like the Brown situation, not good.
I mean, all three are embarrassing.
All three
I'm
aren't
asking
good.
which is the most embarrassing.
But man, when you have Donovan Mitchell telling the media, Donovan Mitchell told the media to rip him. You know why? Because he's talking through the media. He's upset with them. He needs them to be tougher because Donovan's as tough as it gets. He wants them to be tougher. He knows that there's very little to do. When you got your own player basically telling the media, go ahead and rip him because he's talking through the media, that ain't unembarrassing. That's pretty damn embarrassing.
Now, I do have the excuse of the injuries. But how much of an excuse is it?
All right. That takes you only how far? I mean, Darius has a legitimate toe injury. All right, what's going on with Jared Allen? Was Jared Allen on an injured list in the postseason? Evan Mobley was out there with one leg, gutting it through. And by the way, if you were to look at these guys and like listen to them talk, wouldn't you think that Evan Mobley be the guy who's always sitting in street clothes? Evan Mobley tried to gut it out, played his ass off as best he could, walking around on one leg trying to get it going. Meanwhile, I got Richard Jefferson, Channing Frye saying he got his ass whooped in the postseason. That ain't me. That's not big fat Kenny Carmen talking to you. That's an NBA champion, an NBA veteran, guy who do they draw pensions in the NBA?
Pensions?
Like they do in the NFL. Do they get a pension in the NBA? I don't know. The guaranteed contracts, maybe they don't.
Right.
But that's a guy who made a lot of money in the NBA and does media, and he said he got his ass whooped. That's a quote. Ron's got their asses whooped plenty of times. I get that.
Owen?
But man, being called soft at that moment, that is tough.
Okay, so one vote Cavs, one vote Browns. Mitch, you're on deck. Owen?
They're all equally embarrassing.
Wait a second.
None is a good one. There's no good one.
The most embarrassing is that for 3 seasons in a row, you haven't made it past winning one game in the second round of the playoffs when you're supposed to be one of the top teams in the NBA. And then the most embarrassing thing of it all is that everyone wants to call in or defend. Let's not change anything. Let's just keep going. We've got a good roster. Everyone else lost their ACL.
Because there's not very many moves to make.
Now
Owen.
you're going to defend it?
I have to.
So now you're flip-flopping already?
I'm not flip-flopping.
Wow.
I didn't say it's
Ken.
embarrassing, but there's nothing I can do. Hey, you can hit all the buttons you want and make all the noises you want, but that's the truth of the matter. There's not much that they can do. I was sitting here saying I agreed with him about LeBron James, even though that's not a realistic premise, which is probably another embarrassing thing. I got to wait for the old man to come back and
you just
bail
want
us
to go
out
get
again.
embarrassed again.
There's nothing they can legitimately do except for rubbing their
Can you add a
nose in their
fourth thing,
problem.
Anthony, to your embarrassment list?
As a
and it's
fourth?
the way
Why
that
you
Ken
ripping
Carmen
me?
flip-flops on
Don't you
things.
rip me. I didn't flip-flop on anything. Why are you ripping me for this? I didn't flip-flop on a damn thing.
It's time to stand up, Ken, and stand behind what you say.
Kiss my ass. I
And
didn't
in 1
flip-flop
minute,
on
you
anything.
can't say it's the most embarrassing, and the next
Yes,
minute
I can. Yes, I
It's
can.
not fair, though.
Yes,
Why
I
is it
can.
so bad at
Because
them?
Donovan knows that there's no moves that they can make. So Donovan went out there and told the media to rip him. So guess what? I'm going to do as Donovan tells me, and I'm going to go out there and rip him and call him soft and say it's the most embarrassing of the 3 problems. The payroll's a
And
payroll.
you want to keep the embarrassment coming.
I don't want to keep the embarrassment coming. There's nothing I can realistically do other than call them
And you got
soft.
the loudest voice in the city. What are you talking about?
But there,
Nothing you
I
can
can
do.
tell all the people to call them soft out there in the line at Starbucks. Do you want me to do that?
Yes, I do.
No, I do not want
Yes.
people.
They're a soft-ass team, Ken,
I
and they
do
play
not-
like soft-ass teams.
But you understand, I don't want people harassing them in public. That's not the right thing to tell
They aren't
people
in
to
Cleveland
do.
right now.
But if you're at a
the
basketball
end of
game,
June.
if you're at a basketball game in Cleveland, no, the hell, we got who the hell is working out in Cleveland right now? Mitch, you're listening.
Man, he's such an impactful guy that you don't even know who he is.
Who the hell?
Oh, who, Kaminga?
Yeah, Jonathan
Oh.
Kuminga's working out here.
wow. Jonathan Kuminga.
Jonathan Kuminga's
That's
working
gonna
out here.
change us, huh?
They're working.
Wow.
I'm not. You said
Wow,
there's no
Ken.
basketball players in Cleveland in
Wow,
June.
Ken.
There are basketball players in Cleveland in June. So
Where's
you were
Donovan
wrong.
Mitchell?
I don't know
Where's
where he
Darius
is.
Garland?
I got to worry about Donovan.
Where's Jared Allen?
I don't got to worry
Where's
about
Evan
Donovan.
Mobley?
I think Evan Mobley's
Where's
working.
Sam
Evan
Merrill?
Mobley's working out with LeBron right now.
Got the
Guys,
new
you saw
4-year
that picture.
contract.
I did.
You
I
saw
did
that
see it.
picture.
Where's
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball?
I know where
Haven't
these
seen
guys
his
are.
ass in town at all.
Lonzo
He's got a physical to
is.
pass.
I would imagine he's somewhere in the
Oh, dude.
Alps getting some stem cells done, Peyton Manning style.
entire knee replacement. Mitch, before we go to the phones, I know we got Daryl coming up too.
Yeah.
Which one's the most embarrassing?
I think the Guardian situation is most embarrassing right now because the other two teams are actually trying to win.
So we got 3 people, and you agreed with me?
I agreed with you and we fought.
That's normally how it
But
works.
4
on this
people
show.
and 3 different answers.
Yeah.
I think if they would have made it to the NBA Finals this year, you'd have an argument. When they get bounced in the second round, and I'm hearing about Donovan's player option coming up, no, that changes everything. That changes everything. You got a 2-year window. You had your chance. What are they building? Second round exit team. So that's where you're at right now. I'm sorry, Owen. You're the one who came after me to talk tougher about him, so I'll talk tougher about
That's what
him.
I don't understand by what you're saying here. You've said both things this hour about how you don't want them to change what they're doing, but they have to change something.
No, you sound like you made me out to sound like Daryl last segment. I'm not doing what Daryl said.
You keep saying you're not doing that, but then you keep doing it.
The question is, would you take LeBron? The answer is yes. But there's a realistic part of this where you're not going to get LeBron, and there's very unrealistic possibilities of just about anybody else. So what else can you do? So the only recourse I have is to either try to talk LeBron into existence, which isn't going to happen, or it's try to run it back with this, knowing that, hey, they need to be called out because they're a second-round team right now.
You're asking me to look over to the left when I'm trying to get you to look straight ahead.
I'm looking straight ahead.
This hour started with what was the most embarrassing thing, right? And you said that the Cavs were the most embarrassing thing out of the 3 teams, right?
Yes.
My explanation why I agreed with you was that not only have they been bounced twice in the second round with 1 win, but they aren't doing anything to change the roster.
Because there's nothing they can do. What can they do? I asked Daryl. Daryl gives me no answer. I'm asking you. You can give me no answer. I can't give an answer.
Well, if they were
do?
truly willing to trade Darius Garland, then you've got potential
they
ways
can do
to
that. They have 4 guys that they could trade that would really net something back. And I'm not saying that I don't want them to trade Evan Mobley or Donovan Mitchell. They can trade everyone else.
We went from trading hypothetically here, and this one was realistic actually, trading Darius Garland for Drew Holiday to Darius Garland and players X, Y, and Z for LeBron. Only one of those things are realistic. I'm not trading Darius Garland for 35-year-old journeyman. So that's where it is. I'm not
even if it's a 2-year window
for Drew Holiday for a player like him.
No, you're bringing up Drew Holiday now. No, that's dead. That's dead anyway. Who cares about that?
Okay,
so we're moving on.
Well, you don't know if Drew Holiday could. Hold on. Drew Holiday at his age and with what the Blazers are doing could very well not.
I'm just bringing up
suit
other
up for the
things
Blazers
so that you don't. I don't have an answer either right now.
You're getting emotional and calling me out over something that I've been very clear about here over the last hour.
I'm actually not emotional at all, Ken.
You're trying to get me going on something that you don't really need to get me going on. I think I've been very clear, not just this last hour, whenever it's been brought up over the entire
I don't think
show.
You've been clear at all.
I think I've been absolutely clear. He's the one who's supposed to challenge me on these things, and he hasn't challenged me on anything.
Well,
I'm not allowed to challenge you.
You can challenge me on this, but he's the one who's supposed to do it first.
See you later. See you at 10.
Okay, you can get as mad as you want, but that's the case.
Well, the one thing that is kind of unclear is who started the phone calls when it came to the Kevin Durant situation.
Yeah.
Like there's been some conflicting reporting there on whether or not, the Cavs were calling the Suns or the Suns were calling the Cavs. So in either way, we do know that it was a moot point because Kevin Durant didn't want to come here and he had that power because of the situation with his, contract. And I'm just wondering, like this continual discussion about whether or not, this team can pivot from who they are, their identity. To me, their identity is awesome, fun, regular season team that right now I'd bet against in the playoffs. And it sucks to say that. It sucks. And I'm just trying to think about what would make me start to want to bet on them. Like we had Danny Cunningham on earlier. And I know when we've talked to Danny, he's like, all right, Cavs are number 1 in the East. And then it's any combination of Knicks, Orlando. And I agree with him in the regular season. In the playoffs, I got to say I'd pick the Knicks to beat us in a series. I would. I would. And Probably, honestly, we'll see how Desmond Bane fits in with them. I think on paper it's a perfect fit, but you never know until you actually play the games. I'd probably, if Orlando was healthy, I'd probably side and have a close series with Orlando. Because I don't trust anybody outside of Donovan Mitchell right now. I don't. And I think Banchero's getting better and better every single time I see him. Jalen Suggs is a warrior. I don't know how, would Darius be able to get a shot off against him?
Well, this is my frustration, though.
They just added a shooter that's actually had a better career shooting the basketball than Darius Garland.
So you would say they would be the favorites in the East, the overall favorites in the East.
Yes.
If what?
No, I think they are the favorites in the East in the regular season.
Okay.
Right now, actually, Vegas has them as the favorites overall to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. They would not be my favorites. I'd have to see a totally different team next year when it comes to it's Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley, and right now I've told you, I think the two guards have gotten in the way of Evan's development. I think if he were on another team and he got more shot attempts, I've told you, I think the playoffs last year were a clear indication of one of the problems to get to Evan's goal of taking another step forward offensively, and that is, Darius Garland injured Darius. We all say injured Darius, right? That's the excuse, injured, and I agree. Yeah. He was not the same player. Still took more shots than Evan Mobley. That's a problem. And yes, I put a lot of that on Darius. I think he was taking shots. I don't see how Evan is going to get better offensively and become that unicorn offensively.
Well, until Shams Charania comes up with or tweets out that there are talks, there is just so many things right now that just feel unrealistic. So the only thing I can try to do right now is to shame them, because I don't want to give up Darius Garland for 35-year-old journeyman. Okay? So my voice almost broke there. If there's a move to make, they are proven to be in, whatever that means for Kevin Durant, which is not even a starter because of the ownership. If LeBron were actually available, I'm sure that they would be interested in LeBron. But that is the type of player that we are talking about here. Because I don't think Drew Holiday he's going to be a net. He would be a net plus. Guys like him would be a plus. But I don't think they're going to take you where you need to go. Because right now it's all in. It's all in for a finals, not to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. It's all in for a finals. So if there is another move to make, I don't know what that move is. There's another move to make. It has to be a move where if you were to bring it up, it would sound pie in the sky. That's why we spent 2 days on freaking Giannis Antetokounmpo because of that. These are the moves that, as of right now, guys driving down 480, guys driving up 77, wherever they're at, will go, that's not even realistic. Well, I have to have the realistic conversation about something that's a complete fantasy, because that's where you're at. That's where you're stuck. You are stuck with the team you have. And they're a great regular season team. It's fun to be stuck with. But you're telling me that the Magic are going to pass us up, and that the Knicks, who already passed us up once and then kind of seemed like they fell behind, they're going to pass us up, when I don't know who the hell they're interviewing for their head coaching job anymore. It's gone on for weeks now. If they're passing us up, then really, what are we clinging to? The guy who called into coming in hot, what's he clinging to? What are we holding on to? If you're right, and all these teams are passing us up. So the whole thing about LeBron, if you're telling me that the Magic are passing us up, which they're getting better, certainly, and that the Knicks have passed you up again, well, it's just a matter of time before another team does. So why wouldn't you just go for the gusto with the 40-year-old grand old man who has bailed us out a time or two in the past, but would have to bail us out again? The only thing I can hope for is that because Donovan is so much younger, that you could play it around Donovan. But then we'd be spending our time going, well, you really need to develop Evan.
I'd be careful about that. I will say I'd be careful about that. Just the way that Donovan Mitchell plays, it reminds me so much of D. Wade. And Dwayne Wade started, I wouldn't say falling off a cliff, but his game had to change dramatically right around this time that Donovan is. That is one thing you got to be cognizant
of. Now telling us that our best player is going to fall apart here soon.
It's just something to what?
It's calling me out for this?
No, but it's just that I've been pretty consistent on this.
I'm talking to Owen.
It's that
we aren't talking to each other for an hour and 5 minutes.
Evan Mobley has to be the best chance for this team to win a championship is Evan Mobley, taking that huge leap and being the best player on this team. Because Donovan, I've watched him I've watched him put the team on his back in the playoffs. I mean, this is every year. And the last 2 years, he has been on fumes. How much more can you ask of him?
Coming up at 9:22, Matt Derry going to join us on the show. Fine. I mean, if you guys want to go all in, if this is, you guys want to stand pat on this? You want to I'm not talking like you guys, like I'm talking about it. Like you guys want to stand pat on this team as they are. Or would you like to go for that? If he's available, if he's challenging the Lakers to make a move and they can't make a move, they're building for the future, according to Rich Paul, fine.
Anthony,
Fine.
would you please tell your co-host I would like to go for it?
Oh, he certainly would
let
want to
him
go
know.
for it. I'm on the record for going for it. I still think that this is an elaborate Rich Paul deal that they like to do to the Lakers, but still, if there were an availability and we're interested, hell, yeah, I got 2 more years out of this. And then that's it. Then they got to go in a different direction. Do you have the poll up right now on the Guardians, the diabolical question?
Here.
Yeah. What's the diabolical question here?
Yeah, find it.
Because we got the LeBron thing. We got the.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
We are still at 46% say it's the Guardians cutting the payroll after the ALCS.
46% is a hell of a large number. And
30% Browns, 22% Cavs.
So I gave them extra time because, one, I want to make sure, because I thought that they deserve extra time to get this thing going again, because they've been the more consistent franchise out of the 3, have been the most consistent franchise, even though they haven't won a championship in 70 plus years. They've been a more successful, consistent team that I think has earned the time. But man, over the last week, when I got Zach Meisel joining us last week saying he doesn't believe all the stuff that I'm wondering about the television contract that you and I have talked about.
What do you mean? What do you mean by that?
He believes that they could have invested in this team. I thought that they had shed salary because of the television deal it going away, because you went from guaranteed money to everything thrown up in the air. And Zach did not believe that was a decent excuse for them. He did not believe that.
Well, I've only compared it to their way of spending. Like I'll never know truly how much access, to cash they have. I mean, it's funny. Every time there is an accounting of how much the family is worth, they talk about, the old Cablevision money. And it's like, why? Does every one of Elon Musk's kids get to say they're worth trillions of dollars? Like, that's not really how families operate.
They can't bankroll this season off of the TV schedule that's coming up, right? They have to do that off of what they earned from last year.
They're supposed to be able to. Yes. Not.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm saying I don't think any business operates with, well, we got this money coming in, right? Once we sell all these subscriptions to our cable plan.
My entire
point
except
of it, the one time they sold STO, right? They had that one time cash
future earnings type of thing, right?
And the BAM, the Major League Baseball, when every team got some money, they spent money that year.
Okay.
That's it. Those are the only 2 times, and they've only ever really spent in 2016 and 2017.
But when Zach is telling me that they could have done something more than what they're doing right now, I think that's a huge blow to the confidence in the organization from the fan base.
I'm sorry. I hate to interrupt you there and get sticky on that point.
Go ahead.
I just don't understand, like, if we're just assuming there's all this money that is available that they're not spending, what are we basing that on?
I'm not.
Like, yeah, we want every millionaire or billionaire, because we have 2 billionaires in this town. We'd love them to spend more money and more money and more money. And in those sports, Haslam he's spent more money than any owner, and obviously Dan Gilbert has pledged to, within reason. Like they're not doing the second apron thing. Like Ty Jerome would cost them like $60 million, not just the 14 they would pay him. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is just saying, hey, I wish you'd spend more. Like, yeah, my kid is always going to say to me, I wish you would spend more. I wish you would buy me more. I wish you would buy me more things. But what is within reason? I don't know how you would. I don't know how you'd estimate that. Like, where would you? What books would have we opened?
But that's the thing, is that it wasn't Zach in Mayfield Heights.
Mm-hmm.
It was Zach Meisel from The Athletic. And so when a guy who's in the know says that, I have to reevaluate what I've been saying this entire time. Because if it sounds like an excuse to him, it's going to sound like an excuse to a lot of people. And maybe I should be holding them more accountable for what they're doing. I got to ask Matt that question coming up at 9:22. because I could say, hey, guys, don't raise the white flag. Don't raise the white flag. The season isn't over yet. You got a second half coming up. I don't know. Does it sound like Chris Antonetti and everybody else is kind of raising the white flag with their actions? Not with what they said. The play canning work. I mean, Stephen Vogt's going to go out there and say the nicest thing he possibly can about his team because it's not even July. So July starts tomorrow and the new month starts, and he's got to say something nice. What?
Stephen Vogt doesn't buy the ingredients. He just has to cook a meal out of what he has, right?
So
and he doesn't get any of these players in here.
Exactly. And when Chris Antonetti's going on and doing his press conference and talking about the future and how hitters are going to be fine, a lot of people just don't believe him, to the point where it just seems like they're trying to buy more time or buy more understanding for whatever they're trying to do.
Yeah, we're going through a tough stretch right now offensively. For the last month, we haven't been at our best scoring runs, but I continue to believe in the group of players that are here. And it's really hard to be consistently successful at the major league level for anyone. And it's really hard for a young group to do that consistently. And, we are in the process of working through that. But I think as we look forward, the results will be better from here than they've been over the last month. I don't think the last month is indicative of the potential of the guys that are on the roster.
Chris Antonetti has been a guy that I think a lot of people in Cleveland have trusted. And so when he goes out there and he talks, I think that they're trying to get some time and some trust from the fan base. But then again, when he talks about Chase DeLauder, it seems to incense a lot of people.
Chase has made great progress. We were candid in sharing one of the big objectives with him is being able to just increase the total volume that he's able to play. And we had a very deliberate build up in that volume. And there were times, as we increased the volume where his body was more sore than it had been in the past. So we had to pull things back.
I mean, my God,
increase the volume.
He's a professional baseball player. You're either going to be able to do it or you don't. I know that he's been banged up for the better part of the last couple of years, but my God, you drafted the guy to be a part of your franchise. All right, have you not? So you want to go and you want to get something that's positive. You're 40-42. The only thing that keeps you anywhere with your head above water, which technically you aren't because you're under 500, is the third wild card spot and the rest of the American League being garbage. That is not an argument. The American League Central is done. The Tigers have already won it. Your second half is easier, way easier than your first half. Owen has highlighted that several times because just out of reference, not even as an argument. Not even as an argument.
You're right, but the second half can be easier all at once. If you're already out of it, who cares?
Yeah. And so when you have this lineup that is nonsensical, the platooning in the outfield, the situation you have where, hey, I like Kyle Manzardo. He has a fine mustache. I wish he could play every day and hit every day so we could see what he has. First base, it's terrible. I know it's bad for everybody. Carlos Santana ain't going to be around for very much longer. You want the season to stand for something. But when you have fans, what bothers me the most is when Zach is telling me that I really can't use the television deal as a full excuse the way I have been. When Zach's telling me on the air that I really can't do it, it shakes me to my core, because then you have totally signed off on this team, which made it to the ALCS last year, being worse this season. It better be worse for the greater good. I don't know how to spin that, and I don't think you can spin that after 9-16 in one of the worst hitting months you've ever had in franchise history. It's been 120 years of franchise history, for crying out loud. So I don't know how you can spin that one, brother, because that's all you're trying to do is spin it. And fans are as fit to be tied as they've ever been because it's listless. The bullpen usage is mind-boggling. Letting guys roast out there. It seems that you basically give up everything when you're down by 2 runs when you should be fighting over everything. And I think that it's because he doesn't trust the bullpen nearly as much as some of the other people do. Emmanuel Clase, you really don't know what you're going to get out of him every single day.
Opportunity to see him for a week.
That's
they had to
part of it.
They think about when they've had to pitch him because they had to make sure he could still play. Like he's just shows you the state of affairs they're in right now.
But I don't even think it's that they're worse off as a fan. I think it's as a fan, they are telling me that they are willing to accept being worse off, that they're just willing to do it.
Yeah.
I just want you to try.
Well,
as a front office, I want you to try. And that means shuffling the lineup around or shuffling the roster around, bringing guys up from Columbus that maybe they don't have it. You know who they brought up a while ago? We had a guy down there named Francisco Lindor that everybody was looking forward to seeing. And they said, no, we're going to bring up this Jose Ramirez guy. and put him at short and try him out there. And it was just supposed to be to fill until Francisco Lindor's time could not eat into another year of his contract. And then it turns out that Jose Ramirez was really good and he's going to get a statue one day. And I'm not saying that any of these guys in Columbus are in his ballpark right now, but I don't know. And I'd rather find out than continue to see Jonathan Rodriguez and Jones platoon out in right field, or see Carlos Santana, who we all love as a person, but
that's the same. See, they're going to use that argument against you. They're going to use that argument against me. I've been saying, well, you drafted Chase DeLauter for a reason. You brought him in for a reason because you want him to be a Major League Baseball player. Well, they're the same team that went out and got Nolan Jones and traded away Nolan Jones and brought Nolan Jones back. Well, it's the same people still making those decisions, so they definitely want to work it out with Nolan Jones. And because he doesn't have any other options, they're going to push that to its absolute last level before they move on from Nolan Jones. And let guys like Jonathan and I argue about exit velo. God knows what else. They're going to do that. Which, again, as crazy as this seems, we're making a big deal over DeLauter, who yes, has been injured. We're making a big deal over CJ Kayfus. Could you imagine if Travis Bazzano was healthy and hitting decently at all? They'd be standing outside over there on the corner of Carnegie, Ontario with pitchforks.
Well, guys in his class have already been called up and are playing well. That's what sucks about it, especially considering the Red Sox kid has been unbelievable, right? Like, there have been a few of these kids that have already gotten the call up, and it just sucks that, we haven't had the kids called up and then the injuries.
I've given them the benefit of the doubt. I've given them that.
I think they've earned it.
Yes,
people get mad at us for saying that. Like, I'm sorry, they've overachieved for so many years. This Guardians, if you would ask anybody around baseball, they'd say, my God, the Guardians, they are a success story.
I think it's been far too easy for far too long for guys who host shows to start yelling cheap and bitching and moaning. But I think we are getting closer to a point here where, for the first time, it's almost like a kid who cried wolf. If I'm willing to start saying it and certain other people are willing to start saying it, maybe there is a problem there. Because I could just go out here and say Dolan's Cheaps, Dolan's Cheaps, Dolan's Cheaps as they went and they won the American League Central last year. That doesn't take nothing. Any idiot can do that. But this last season, if I'm hearing different from what I've been saying, boy, that's tough. That's real tough.